Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I'm going to review VHS, the Anthology movie from 2012, I believe. And this is a movie that has several short horror films in it, all connected by a wraparound plot. At this point, this franchise is pretty popular. They come out with one every year. I've only seen the first three. I think there's like six or seven, and as a matter of fact, I think there might even be one coming out next month. So yes, it's quite popular now. This, when it came out, was pretty cool. It was nice to see anthology horror, and though I haven't seen the whole franchise, they do really tend to let these directors take risks and make pretty experimental things. And I, as a huge horror fan, I love that. I know it's not October yet, but whatever. I'm getting into the horror stuff early this year. I'll be watching these movies in the coming weeks and reviewing them, giving you my thoughts. Yeah, there's a lot of segments. People have very wildly different opinions on them. So, if you've seen these movies, I'd love to hear what you thought. Surely your opinions are going to differ from mine. But, I'd like to hear why or why not you didn't like something if that's the case. So I'll just go straight through. First, I want to talk about the frame narrative that holds this whole thing together. I remember I saw this movie like really soon after it came out, and I remember really enjoying the frame narrative. I thought I like analog horror. I like stuff that looks like it's shot on VHS and home movie kind of things. And these are all found footage. And that's the thing that's important to note is that not only are these short films, but they're all found footage. And while found footage is kind of maybe overdone these days with all the Blair Witch sequels and paranormal activities and everything like that, when it's done well, I think it's very effective because you're shooting in real time and there's not a lot of downtime the way a traditional film is shot, and there is an element of improvisation that's going to naturally come through, and that can pull some really good performances when there are certain segments that are not really really technical, in terms of the production. So I like that. Yeah, so the wraparound, I liked it when it came out, but as I've seen this, and I've seen this film the most, I've seen this movie about six times. I've seen it a lot. I just don't really care for it. It's, these crazy, whacked out people who are, into snuff films and making snuff films, and they break into a house to get a film. And, they're putting VHS tapes into the player, and you're then watching the segments, which is kind of creative. But they're looking for a film, and there's a dead guy in the house. And every time a short film ends, you get a little it jumps back to that wraparound, and then the guy eventually. And I should say that these are all spoiler filled. If you haven't seen this, don't watch this. Um, but the guy eventually disappears and is a zombie and kills them. I don't know. I used to think this was cool, but I kind of just wish this was excised from the film and I could watch the short film. So that's that. I'm not going to talk too much about the wraparounds in all of these. But the first one is called Amateur Night, directed by David Bruckner. I have their names listed here so I don't get them wrong. This is a fan favorite, and totally understand why. I like this one a lot. I'm going to rate these all out of five. I'll tell you up front, I gave this one a 4 out of 5. It's really good. I know, like some people, they find it the best segment in the whole series. I don't have as high opinion of it, but this is a group of just douchebag, like obnoxious young adults in their 20s, probably, that give their friend a pair of video glasses with a little camera in it, and they're going out and picking up chicks that they're going to bang, and they're going to film them naked, and they're just totally obnoxious. And they pick up these two girls. One of them is really quiet and strange, and when they get back, it ends up being that to a hotel room they take them to. She's a succubus or a siren, which is what the spin-off film is called from 2016. I believe with the same actors, main actors. And she fucking kills the shit out of them. She rips them apart, and it's gory and crazy. So it's cool. I don't love this one just because these characters are so insanely grating, and they're supposed to be. You're not supposed to like these characters. They're very reprehensible in their actions, but pardon me, I'm going to fix the camera a little bit. They're reprehensible. You're not supposed to like them, but this sort of bro douchebag kind of thing is so grating to me. I do find the acting a little bit weak in this one, a little bit not believable at times. I think the woman who plays the creature is really good. A couple of them are good, but I just don't really find the acting very authentic in this one, and that's what brings it down a little bit. What I do like is, first off, it's quite gory, and I forgot how, the all these movies are quite gory. Again, I've only seen three, but from my memory, they can be quite violent. If you don't like gore, these are not for you. But I forgot how visceral, the first one is. It can get real visceral, if you know what I mean. Um, what I like about this one is the way it talks about sexual assault. Um, in a very creative way, and using a siren, a succubus type of character, but not in the traditional archetype of luring in men by being a beautiful woman and then killing them. This is a woman who's luring in sexual predators and giving them their comeuppance. All the these guys right from the beginning are planning on filming nude women. They're trying to get them drunk. They're giving them coke, and there's a scene where the guy's trying to have sex with one of the girls who's clearly passed out, and they're all just taking their clothes off, like they're ready to go. And the one guy, the main guy who has the glasses on, is clearly uncomfortable, and she kills the shit out of everyone but him. And she ends up saying to him, "I like you." And then what I really like about this one is the way at the end the camera work does get really frenetic, which is something that bothers me sometimes in found footage movies where it gets so crazy you just can't tell what's going on. That can kind of get on my nerves sometimes. Um, but I always liked at the end where it gets so crazy you can't tell what's going on, and then you see that this guy from his view is like 100, 200 feet off the ground. She's picked him up and is flying away with him. So it's kind of like, is she going to kill him because he did participate and didn't say anything, or is it because she ended up kind of choosing him because he didn't participate? I always really liked when they run out screaming and freaking out, or the guy does rather, that nobody's like paying attention to them in the way, kind of like a how does it feel kind of way. So it's a really creative segment. It's gory. It's really, really interesting, but it's not my favorite. But I give it a 4 out of 5. The next segment is directed by Ty West, who's pretty popular. He's directed the X series, I believe, and it's called Second Honeymoon. Now, people don't really like this one from what I've seen. Honestly, this is my favorite one in the whole movie, and it always has been. I understand why people don't like it. It's one of those ones where there's a lot of waiting around for a payoff kind of thing, and if you don't like the payoff, you feel like your time is wasted. And from a plot standpoint, it doesn't always hold up. When I watch short horror, or really horror in general, I'm much more lenient with it. I can forgive some bad acting sometimes. I can forgive some plot inconsistencies because a lot of horror is popcorn horror, and we're just kind of we want to see people getting killed in slashers. So I kind of forgive that. But also, I really like what this series does, giving these directors a chance to make experimental works. I think that's really cool. So I understand why people don't like this, but I really dig the tone. It's just got a very brooding tone to it. It's this couple that goes on their second honeymoon. Although I'm not sure if they say that. It's called Second Honeymoon, but I'm not sure if we actually hear audible confirmation of that. Um, but they go on this honeymoon and they're in like the I think they're in the western United States. It looks like they're in Arizona or whatever, and they get a motel room, and at a certain point in the night, this creepy woman knocks at the door and asks if she can get a ride tomorrow, and it kind of freaks the husband out. And they're filming each other with like a little handheld camera or whatever. And later that night, that woman breaks in and is filming herself, touching the woman with a knife, and she dunks the guy's toothbrush in the toilet. It's very weird. And the next day, she also takes some money, and the next day, the guy's kind of getting really angry at his wife, like accusing her of stealing money. And the next night, the woman comes in and kills the guy. She stabs him in the neck. And of course, like I said already, this has spoilers, so I don't mean to just do straight up plot synopses, but, if you've seen this, But and then the final twist is that the two are the wife and this weird female intruder woman are together. They kiss and then they run away. The woman asks, "Did you erase the footage?" Yeah, I get that this one doesn't really make sense when you hold it up to scrutiny. The twist kind of comes out of nowhere. I've heard people make these sorts of like really weird. I wouldn't say weird, but like really specific sort of guesses as to what's going on. I don't think there is. I think this is more of a mood-based one. There are little hints as towards Their relationship, I mean, a big one is when she gets like the little fortune teller thing that tells her she's going to be reunited with a loved one. You can see the anger that he has towards his wife when he finds out that she's taken some money, and he says something to the effect of like, "It wouldn't be the first time you've treated yourself without asking me." And you can see that if you read between the lines, although it's not, it's kind of obvious that they probably don't have a great relationship. That explains what happens to me. It doesn't explain why exactly, why it's so extreme. And but I don't know. The woman has the plastic Halloween mask on, which I always found creepy. And in this one, I just find the dialogue so authentic, and I think that's why I've liked this one. I think the acting is the best of any of these segments in this film. It really, really, really is authentic to me. It feels like this probably was mostly improvised, and it just feels very natural. The gore is really intense. I forgot how violent it is at the end. So yeah, it doesn't really hold up from a plot standpoint exactly, but as I've said, this one just has a very dreadful mood to it that I really like, and it is my favorite. Next, we have Tuesday the 17th, written by and directed by Glenn McQuaid. I don't know who that is. I don't know any of his stuff. Tuesday the 17th, obviously a play on Friday the 13th. This is my least favorite. I'm going to tell you straight up. I'll give it a 2 out of 5. I know that he's going for a Friday the 13th parody with, again, dumb, obnoxious teens or, young adults going on a trip to the forest. The woman explains that, her friends were killed here. A killer shows up and starts killing them, and she's trying to essentially avenge her friends and kill this killer. The twist in this one is that you can only see the killer if you're looking through the camera and you see him on glitches on the camera. I find that to be pretty creative. The acting in this one is dreadful. Now, granted, this is clearly kind of going off a parody of Friday the 13th. The characters have lines in this that are just so outrageously campy that there's no way I could be convinced they're not trying to do a parody to some degree. Like, there are some wacky ass lines in this one. But with that being said, I don't think the acting is even great in what they're trying to do. So the whole thing just kind of comes off like a mess. I don't know. It's a unique take. I give it a 2 out of 5 because I really don't care for this one. It's the one I kind of dread watching. I don't like to skip things, but I really don't like this. But yeah, this one does not work for me, man. If you like this one, let me know, and let me know what you like about it. But not one of my favorites. Next is the strange, or is it the sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger. Directed by Joe Swanberg and written by Simon Barrett. This is like a precursor to those screen view movies like Unfriended, where it's all taking place on a Zoom call or something. And those movies suck, but I think that this is creative. I know people don't care for this one. I don't love this one. Like, it's not amazing, but I think it is quite creative. It's, like a girl having a Zoom conversation with her boyfriend who's training to be a doctor, and she's thinks her house is haunted, and she starts seeing ghosts and shit pop up, and she's also talking about she's got like a bump on her arm and shit like that. And what eventually happens, is the kind of twist is that they're not ghosts, they're aliens. They're like little kids that have like gray face paint on, and they end up being aliens, and she's impregnated with like an alien fetus. I know it sounds very outlandish, but I think that they handle it pretty well. And he's actually like right there the whole time, and he goes in, gets it out, and breaks her arm so that she thinks something happened, and she goes to the doctor and gets I think diagnosed with like schizoaffective disorder or bipolar or something. And then we see at the very end that he's doing the same thing to another woman, pretending to be her boyfriend. He's going to do the same thing. It's pretty weird, but I do like this one. I think the acting's pretty good. Again, it has a very naturalistic conversational tone to it. The only thing that brings this down is the aliens, these like little kids that look like ghosts. It's just kind of cheesy. It kind of pulls me out of the atmosphere to what could have been a really, really good little short film. I always find that that's a little cheesy, and it always sticks out like a sore thumb to me. But I do like the twist, even though it's so bizarre. What I love most about this one is, maybe it's unintentional, but the humor. This guy, well, first off, this guy is gaslighting the shit out of this woman, and it's kind of hard to watch, and I think that's what this is trying to say. But when he goes in and is performing the surgery on this woman, he's kind of like has a very annoyed tone. He's very dry and monotone throughout, and you can see, you know that he's gaslighting. Well, you don't exactly, but you can kind of tell. He's like, "How many times do you want me to do this to this woman? I don't think she's gonna survive. I mean, like, shit." He's like, it's like he's just annoyed that he has to do his job. And I kind of found that funny. It's kind of sick, but there's like this little bit of dark humor thrown in that I always liked. And also, you can see on his computer screen that there's a folder called Emily, which is there pretty much the whole film, and that can clue you in, like, why is that there? So yeah, I like this one. I give it a 4 out of 5. I always enjoy watching this. It's of all of the 4 out of 5s, it's my least favorite, but it's creative. And the final one is 103198, written and directed by the group Radio Silence. And this is a group of friends, another group of obnoxious ass douchebag bros that go to a Halloween party. They go to the wrong address and they end up at like a haunted house. And they go upstairs and there's a woman that's like, they're doing some sort of ritual. These guys performing the ritual get blown up into this fucking ceiling, and they freak out and they break, they cut the woman down and they try to save her and carry her out, and all hell breaks loose, and we get this fun haunted house sequence where there's smoke everywhere and hands coming out of the wall, and they bring the woman out, and the twist at the end as they're driving away is that these people, it wasn't a cult, they were performing an exorcism, so this woman is possessed. She disappears out of the car, locks them in the car, they cannot get out or drive away, and they're on a train track, and the train hits them and kills them. I liked this one when I first saw it. As time has gone on, I've liked it less, so I'll give it a 3 out of 5. It's definitely worth checking out, and it's good. It's just a solid middle of the road one. I think the acting is a little suspect in this one, and again, it's one where I think that the treatment, the idea they had, is better than the actual end product. But what I have always liked is the little twist, and I just like haunted house stuff. I also like the visuals. Sometimes, like some of these, the visuals aren't great, the cinematography. Sometimes it's too jerky, like the wraparound film gets way too whacked out for me. This one, the Second Honeymoon, I really think that the visuals are great. It truly looks like something shot in 1998 on a handheld camera. Remember those big old over-the-shoulder cameras with VHS tapes? And I love haunted house stuff, and I think there's some practical effects, there's some CGI, and I think that the VHS analog look hides some CGI very creatively, and I just like it. Yeah, so it's a middle-of-the-road one, but it's enjoyable, and I think that if you go to YouTube, you can watch a joke ending that they shot, where when they're on the train tracks, they just open the door and walk away, and their car blows up, and they're all like, "Oh man, that was crazy. Well, what a crazy night. Well, anyways, let's go to the party." It's really funny. You have to check it out. So anyways, that was VHS. Overall, I give this movie a 3 out of 5. It's not amazing, but there's some really good stuff in here. And if you haven't seen it, which I just spoiled the whole fucking movie, but yeah, it's great. Let me know your thoughts. I'll be doing VHS 2 next, which is another good one. And I'll do as much of the franchise as I have available to me. So yeah, kind of getting early with Halloween here, but that's just what is up, man. I love horror, so peace out. Have a great day. I hope to hear from y'all. See you next time.